So today, I thought it would be a really cool idea to talk about botanicals. Botanicals are actually a really important part of the hobby because it's actually what makes up your aquarium, like all the really cool, beautiful pieces of like wood you find, gravel, rocks, terrestrial plants, plants that go in your aquarium, leaves, seeds, all those sort of things that you would find in nature, in the river systems. They're botanicals, and they're what go inside your aquarium to replicate little ecosystems. So today we're going to be collecting those botanicals and making up a really cool aquarium. Okay, so we're here at our first botanical collection location, and it's actually a bit of a weird one, and maybe one you hadn't thought of before, but it's definitely a viable botanical for your aquarium. Something to think of is that the botanicals in this video may only be viable to people who are located in Australia, because obviously all of these things are found in Australia. So for the American people, maybe you can buy Australian botanicals, or perhaps things that you can find in Australia, you can also find in America. I'm not too sure, but that's something to think of. Yeah, so the botanical is not the banana tree, or the banana plant, or the bananas, but the leaves, and it's the dead leaves that you're after. And this is basically all you need. This is a botanical. So here's our first botanical, dead banana leaves. So you can basically add this directly into your aquarium, just like that. You know, it's a banana leaf. I do recommend giving it a bit of a wash off, because sometimes, especially with farms and stuff, they use, I don't know, chemicals or stuff, spraying, who knows, right? So we're gonna wash this off, and you can add like cool strips like this to the bottom of your aquarium, and these will break down obviously over time. Shrimp will absolutely love these banana leaves. Fantastic shrimp food. And what'll happen is all these botanicals will collect, will gather as they break down a ton of biofilm over these leaves as they start to decay under the water, and that is awesome food for shrimp and some sort of rasping fishes like bristlenoses and plecas, and basically any fish that pecks on things. So here's the next location, some spiders. Boing, over here. Second location, creek. So also on our property, we have many waterfalls, we've got creeks, we've got rocks. So our second botanical that's going to look amazing in your aquarium, rocks. Now obviously these are massive rocks. They're basically kind of like lava rocks, moon rocks, whatever you want to call them. They're rocks with holes. So I think the further you go up towards Mount Warning, the holier the rocks get. Our property doesn't have so many holy rocks. Yeah, rocks are a really good one. We're definitely going to take some rocks back, but not these rocks, because these are really big. Something that I use in just about all of my aquariums is rocks and stones. The appearance will change for every different collection location. What you're going to want to do is wash the rocks, get all the dirt off them. Sometimes it helps if you get like a scrubbing brush or a rough sponge and wash the rocks like this. Our third botanical is actually pine cones. So we found some pine trees on our property. Now, not everyone has pine trees on their property as well, or lives on a property with pine trees. So you may actually have to go to like a state forest and just like collect a couple pine cones from the area. But we're gonna try and find some here. I don't think there's a variety of pine cone that's like not good for your aquarium, but whoa, pine cone. That's spiky. Oh, I see more pine cones. I'm just in the most spider territory you've ever seen. Pretty extraordinary. Pine cones. Obviously it's not going to be practical for everyone. So sometimes what you're going to have to do is go to like a state forest or somewhere where there's pine trees, and you can go and collect some of these really cool pine cones. Now, something that's going to happen with these, which are a little bit annoying, is, well, see this pine cone here? It's pretty much all dried out. It's really brittle, spiky, but it's all separated, like all the little bristles have been separated. Now what's going to happen is this is a state of really super dry conditions. And what's going to happen is when you add this pine cone, even if you wash it under the water like this, or chuck it in your aquarium to soak, what's going to happen is this pine cone is going to suck up all the moisture and it's going to close up because it's going to return to its original form and like this, and it's going to just be all closed up and not look as cool. Still going to be a very good useful form of where the biofilm covers a useful form of food for shrimp and smaller types of fish for that, but we're going to be adding this guy into our aquarium. Our next botanical is terrestrial plants. So there are a ton of varieties of terrestrial plants. In fact, I think there's an endless list. I don't think there's a specific variety of plant that you'd say is terrestrial that's aquarium safe, but there are definitely varieties that are proven to be, and that is the arrowhead philodendron. Things like pothos, aluminium plant is one here, looking a little bit decrepit, probably been hidden or strangled out by the other vines here. And also lilies. So these peace lilies are a fantastic plant. They don't mind the wet roots, and you can stick these in the top of your aquarium. They're an awesome little botanical, and the plant having access to the oxygen in the outside air can draw out way more nitrates, nitrites, ammonia, all the things that you don't want in your water through these roots, way faster, I guess, than the plants that are in the aquarium. And they're awesome little filters that you can add into your aquarium to aid in the process of removal of those toxic chemicals. So the next botanical on our list is timber, like driftwood, bogwood, and this is a famous botanical for a lot of people. Like, everyone knows about this botanical. It's in a ton of aquariums. You can buy it at the fish shop. It's one of those things that you can that you'll be charged money for if you go and buy it, whereas obviously, like this, I have gone and collected it from the wild. Now what I did is I went down to my local river, my local creek, and I pulled this out and chucked this in the sun for a few days, and it's quite hard and tough now. And I'll definitely need to re-soak these pieces of timber in order to get them to get waterlogged and sink into my aquarium. But just as an example, this is a piece of gum. We're just going to be using gum tree just because we know that they're really tough, hard timber, and they take a very long time to break down in the water. Now, the next botanical is a bit of a funny one, and this is only relevant to people who can either buy this or are located in Hawaii, and that is coconuts. You can use the coconut shell, scoop out all the flesh and the juice, water, whatever you want to call it, drill a hole, and you can place it in the bottom of your aquarium like this. Acts as a cave, and can actually be really good for breeding things like apistogrammas and stuff like that. The bad thing about most of these botanicals is that they're actually going to float on the surface until they soak up a bunch of water and sink to the bottom. But they're going to look really cool when that does happen. So there's our banana leaves. They're going to float around for a bit. Next is our pine cone. That's also going to float around for umpteen million years till it sinks to the bottom. As you can see, it's going to look really cool. And play basketball. It's going to look really cool down at the bottom of your aquarium, but it's going to float for quite a while. Okay, so we've actually gone and collected all of our botanicals now, and we have returned to this 6-foot planted aquarium. I didn't really need to add any more terrestrial plants, any more wood or any more rocks, because I already have them in my tank. But the other things we did end up adding to the aquarium are the banana leaves and the pine cones. They're going to look really cool in the sandy area over here, and eventually what will happen is the banana leaves will soak up water and the pine cone will soak up water as well, sink to the bottom, and hopefully the plecos will come along and kind of half bury these leaves in the sand, and it'll look really, really cool. There are a ton of other different types of botanicals that you can collect. It's not just, wood, rocks, coconuts, pine cones, banana leaves. There's like tons and tons of different types of botanicals that you can collect that I haven't collected in this video. Just have to make sure that they're safe. But all of the ones in this video are most definitely able to be used in your aquarium. So you guys can go out and collect a ton of botanicals now. You can go and collect your wood, some rocks, maybe some banana leaves and pine cones, maybe even some terrestrial plants from outside in your garden. Also, for anyone who wants to learn about the terrestrial plants and the propagating of them, you can click on this video up here. It has more information about how to propagate terrestrial plants for your aquariums.